Hey everybody, welcome back to Swift Lessons. Rob and Natalia coming to you from LA. You want to say hi?
Hi.
We're in LA because we're going to be going to Patrecon, which is a gathering of all different kinds of content creators, and there we're going to be learning about how we're going to be able to better serve you guys. But today, real quick, I just wanted to respond to a really great question I got from one of my patrons named Andrew, and that's, what's my approach to hybrid picking? So I'm going to be breaking that down for you, and Natalia, you want to say anything else to anybody? Or?
Enjoy your practice.
Okay, so what is my approach to hybrid picking? I'm going to break this lesson up into three very brief sections. The first one is going to be hybrid picking with chords, then we're going to get into hybrid picking with blues shuffles, and then hybrid picking with licks, and I'll be sure to make a tab for this to go along with your study. Okay, so getting started with hybrid picking with chords. This is a very basic technique, but it's one that's very powerful, one that I use very often. It's basically a cross-picking approach, which is ordinarily done with just the pick, but I like to throw in my middle finger and my ring finger into the mix. Okay, so it sounds like this, real basic over an E7 chord. Okay, so that is basically my pick hitting the root note, a downstroke with the pick, and then with my ring finger, I'm gonna grab the high E string because it's sitting right there. Okay, that's the finger that's most convenient, and that's what I always want you to think about when you're picking and when you're doing like fingerstyle guitar. Do what is very convenient, feels natural, and seems to work best. Okay, so I hit the low E string, I strum, then it's gonna be ring finger, middle finger, pick, middle finger. Okay, for that kind of CCR kind of sound. Okay, sometimes you'll see me just use my middle finger. Okay, so it was middle finger twice, but really, if you want my kind of truthful advice, I think it's good to mix it up as best you can using three fingers when you're approaching chords with your hybrid picking. All right, there it is over an E7 chord. You can do a little blues. Hammering down with that index finger on the G string, B7 chord, to the A7 chord, to complete a 12 bar. Hybrid picking over chords. Okay, very good everybody. Now you're hybrid picking over your chord shapes. Now, we're moving on to section 2, hybrid picking over shuffles. Okay, so a bluesy shuffle, let's do it in the key of E, would sound like this with my hybrid picking. Okay, so that's a really good example of when I use hybrid picking. Whenever there's string skipping, that's a good opportunity to use this technique. So here I am shuffling, I'm going back and forth between the 2nd and 4th frets, your basic shuffle. Droning on the E string, so the E string's open, palm muted, and I'm counting. A 1, 2, and 3, and then I can throw in that little riff right there, a little pull off the 3rd fret of the low E string, and then with my middle finger, plucking, or actually kind of popping, the 2nd fret of the D string, which is going to be held down now by a little bit of a bar. Okay, and you want to try to get a little bit of snap off that string if you're using this technique. So, string skipping is when you're playing 2 consecutive notes that are separated by 1 or more strings. So whenever you're faced with a technique that requires that, it's very useful to use hybrid picking, because then you don't have to have as much accuracy as you would with the pick. It's very easy just to grab 1 string and then follow up with the middle finger or the ring finger. So that's why this is the perfect technique to use for this shuffle. I'd recommend that you play it on the E, A, and D string, then try dropping it down a 4th, or actually go up a 4th to the key of A. So now I'm on the D string and I'm droning with my A string. Everything's down 1 string, and I'm popping on my G string. Okay, great example of when hybrid picking is very convenient. Okay, tremendous work everybody. You're hybrid picking over chords, you're hybrid picking over your shuffles. Now we're moving on to the third and final section of this lesson, hybrid picking over licks. Okay, so most guitar players just use their pick when they're playing lead lines, which sounds great, but I think that when you add a little bit of the flesh against the strings, it gives it a slightly different timbre and makes your playing more interesting. So here's an example of a lick that I would most commonly play using hybrid picking. So that's one measure in length. Okay, let's see if we can get that down. Okay, that lick real slow now. And one more time. Okay, so I started off with my middle finger on the 3rd fret B string, sliding up a whole step to 5. Okay, as I played that B string, I also allowed the high E string to ring out using hybrid picking. So it was pick and middle. Okay. Then I'm gonna go back and forth between the E string and the B string, but I'm gonna use my ring finger now. Now, I tend to go back and forth alternating between my middle finger and my ring finger if I've played 2 notes in a row that were both played using fingers. Okay, so here's pick and finger, and then I'm gonna use my ring finger to alternate back and forth between those 2 strings. Then I'm going back to the 3rd fret and I'm playing 3rd fret B, open E, and then back to the B string. So far you have. All right, then we're gonna play hybrid picking. Slid from the 2nd fret G string up to the 4th, and then I'm grabbing the 3rd fret of the B string, and then alternating once again. Middle finger on the B string, then back to the pick. All right, then I'm gonna slide down to 2, open G, and then resolve onto the 2nd fret of the D string, your E note. Okay, put that whole lick together now, and it's gonna sound like this real slow. A 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Back to shuffling. You can see if you can jump back in. Just like that. Okay, so there you have it everybody, 3 applications for hybrid picking over chords, shuffles, and lead lines. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I'm hoping to be back in a day or so with another song tutorial. Thanks so much everybody. Look forward to hearing from you soon.